Putin, North Korea's Kim in phone call ahead of Alaska summit. And also South Korea's ex-First Lady arrested. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm Brendan Lepore. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un have vowed to strengthen cooperation days ahead of Putin's summit in Alaska with Donald Trump. Pyongyang state media reported Wednesday. Putin and Kim spoke by phone in a warm, camaraderie atmosphere on Tuesday and confirmed their will to strengthen cooperation in the future, according to the official Korean Central News Agency KCNA. Putin expressed appreciation for the self-sacrificing spirit displayed by service personnel of the Korean People's Army in liberating Kursk, KCNA added, a reference to North Korea's participation in Russia's war on Ukraine. Kim in turn pledged that North Korea would fully support all measures to be taken by the Russian leadership in the future. The Kremlin confirmed the phone call in a statement adding that Putin had shared information with Kim Jong-un in the context of the upcoming talks with US President Donald Trump. Trump is expected to press Russia to end the Ukraine war during the meeting in Alaska on Friday. Analysts said, should Trump and Putin agree on a Ukraine peace deal, Putin could convey Kim's stance on Trump's North Korea-related interests, potentially including a conditional summit on nuclear disarmament. In the first US-Russia summit since 2021, Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump will meet on Friday at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska. The Trump administration on Tuesday tempered expectations for major progress toward a ceasefire, calling the summit a listening exercise.
Listening exercise for the president. Look, only one party that's involved in this war is going to be present. And so this is for the president to go and to get, again, a more firm and better understanding of how we can hopefully bring this war to an end.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and most of his European counterparts have said a lasting peace cannot be secured without Ukraine at the negotiating table, and a deal must comply with international law, Ukraine's sovereignty and its territorial integrity. They will hold a virtual meeting with Trump on Wednesday to underscore those concerns before the Putin summit. Zelensky has said Russia must agree to a ceasefire before territorial issues are discussed. He would reject any Russian proposal that Ukraine pull its troops from the eastern Donbas region and cede its defensive lines. A steady stream of uniformed soldiers arrived at the National Guard headquarters in Washington on Tuesday to begin the deployment of hundreds of troops called up to fight crime in the nation's capital under orders from President Donald Trump. The deployment of the 800-strong force has drawn the scorn of Democrats who described the move as political theater and raised questions about where National Guard troops might be sent next. With Trump threatening to replicate the move in other big cities, Democrats pointed out that violent crime in Washington has dropped to historic lows in the past 2 years. Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser sought to put a positive spin on the deployment on Tuesday, saying she wanted to use the extra personnel to drive down crime. She said the National Guard would not have the power to make arrests. Troops will carry no weapons but will have their standard issue firearms, usually rifles, close at hand. In addition, Trump will set about 500 federal law enforcement agents to supplement the city's police force during the 30-day emergency deployment. As part of the initiative, Trump gave temporary control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. In the District of Columbia, violent crime has rapidly declined since a spike in 2023 and is now at historically low levels, data shows. The White House said on Tuesday that CHIPS deals could perhaps be expanded to other companies after NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices agreed to give the U.S. government 15% of revenue from sales to China of certain advanced chips. Press Secretary Caroline Levitt said during a press briefing that the deal only stands with these two companies. However, she said there is a possibility that it could expand in the future to other companies as well. Chinese authorities have summoned domestic companies, including major internet firms, Tencent and ByteDance, over their purchases of NVIDIA's H20 chips, asking them to explain their reasons and express concerns over information risks. The scrutiny threatens a significant revenue stream for NVIDIA, which generated $17 billion from China sales in its fiscal year ended 26 January. China has accelerated work on domestic AI chip alternatives, with companies such as Huawei developing processors that rival the H20's performance, and Beijing urging the technology sector to become more self-sufficient. The European Union, Britain and Japan on Tuesday called for urgent action to stop famine in the Gaza Strip. A joint statement was signed by the EU's top diplomat and foreign ministers from 24 countries, including Canada and Australia, urging Israel to put a stop to the inhumane condition in the besieged territory. UN-mandated experts have warned that Gaza is slipping into famine, while international organizations have for months condemned the restrictions imposed by the Israeli authorities on aid distribution in Gaza. The ministers and EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas also demanded Israel provide authorization for all international NGO aid shipments and to unblock essential humanitarian sectors from operating. 17 European Union countries signed the statement, including France, the Netherlands, Ireland and Spain. Notably absent was Germany, Israel's staunch supporter in the EU, despite its drastic move to halt the export of military equipment to Israel last week. The EU struck a deal last month to increase aid access to Gaza, but senior officials have said the agreement has not been implemented fully. Sudan's Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the United States Senior Advisor for Africa Massad Boulous met in Switzerland to discuss a U.S. peace plan for the war-torn and hunger-stricken country. The pair had a 3-hour meeting where they discussed a proposal submitted by the United States for a comprehensive ceasefire in Sudan and the delivery of humanitarian aid. Since April 2023, the war between Sudan's regular army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has killed tens of thousands. Previous mediation efforts by the US and Saudi Arabia over the past 2 years have failed to secure a ceasefire as rival forces battle for territory in Africa's third largest nation. The meeting is the highest level engagement in months, as Washington appears to be amping up its peace efforts on Sudan. Across Sudan, nearly 25 million people are suffering from dire food insecurity. The war has fragmented the country, with the army holding the north, east and center, while the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, a paramilitary force formerly operated by the government of Sudan, controls nearly all of Darfur and with its allies parts of the south. And yet to come, crypto entrepreneur pleads guilty in $40 billion collapse. Stay tuned. Welcome back. South Korea's former First Lady Kim Kyun-hee was arrested late Tuesday over a range of charges, including stock manipulation and corruption. The arrest came hours after the Seoul Central District Court reviewed the prosecutor's arrest warrant request against the 52-year-old, further compounding her legal jeopardy with physical custody. The court granted the warrant, citing the risk of tampering with evidence. With the arrest, South Korea now has a former president and First Lady both behind bars, the first such case in the nation's history. The charges against Kim include violations of capital market and financial investment laws, as well as political funds laws. The arrest marks a dramatic fall for the ex-first couple after former President Yoon Suk-yeol's stunning martial law declaration on 3rd December. Controversy has long surrounded Kim, with lingering questions about her alleged role in stock manipulation. A video film in 2022 showing her accepting a Dior handbag from a self-proclaimed fan reignited public criticism. She is also accused of interfering in the nomination process for MPs in Yoon's party, a violation of election laws. Do Kwon, the South Korean cryptocurrency entrepreneur behind two digital currencies that lost an estimated $40 billion in 2022, pleaded guilty on Tuesday to 2 U.S. charges of conspiracy to defraud and wire fraud. Kwon, 33, entered a plea at a court hearing in New York City before U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer. Kwon, who co-founded Singapore-based Terraform Labs and developed the Terra USD and Luna currencies, had pleaded not guilty in January to a 9-count indictment charging him with the securities fraud, wire fraud, commodities fraud, and money laundering conspiracy. Accused of misleading investors in 2021 about Terra USD, Kwon pleaded guilty to the 2 counts under an agreement with the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. Kwon agreed in 2024 to pay $80 million as a civil fine and be banned from crypto transactions as part of a $4.55 billion settlement he and Terraform reached with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. He's facing up to 25 years in prison when Engelmeyer sentences him on 11 December. Kwon is one of several cryptocurrencies moguls to face federal charges after a slump in digital token prices in 2022 prompted the collapse of a number of companies. A Guatemalan court on Tuesday sentenced 6 people to prison, terms ranging from 6 to 25 years for their roles in a 2017 fire that killed 41 girls at a state-run youth shelter. The defendants, 2 former police officers and 4 former child protection officials, were convicted of homicide, mistreatment of minors, abuse of authority, and breach of duty. The sentences mark a significant step in a national tragedy that drew international condemnation and exposed systemic abuse within Guatemala's state shelters. The fire broke out on March 2017 at the Virgen de la Asunción safe home near Guatemala City. According to testimony, 56 girls were padlocked in a small room as punishment for protesting abuse and attempting to escape. After hours inside, one girl set a mattress on fire, hoping to force guards to open the door. Witnesses testified that despite the girls' cries for help, police waited 9 minutes to unlock the door. The blaze ultimately killed 41 girls and left 15 survivors with severe burns. In her ruling, Judge Ingrid Cifuentes also ordered an investigation into former President Jimmy Morales, who was in office at the time. She cited a lack of jurisdiction for not ruling on charges against a 7th defendant, the country's former children's prosecutor.
Mentol jimat tenaga untuk lebih jimat.
Nine people died Tuesday after an accidental blast at an explosive factory in southern Brazil. 6 men and 3 women were unaccounted for following the blast, which happened around 6 a.m. local time in the metropolitan area of state capital Curitiba. Images released by the Kerana Fire Department showed a huge area covered in debris after the explosion. Security forces, assisted by dogs, worked to search for the missing people. It was reported that 7 people were injured in the incident and are currently receiving treatments at nearby hospitals. Fire Department spokeswoman Luisiana Guimaraes said within a radius of approximately 1.5 kilometers, there were houses that were hit with huge shock wave, damaging its structures. Executives from NIX Brazil, the company that owns the plant, said at a news conference that the cause of the accident was being investigated. The firm has offered to provide psychological care to the victims and their families. 35 cars of a Union Pacific train derailed Tuesday afternoon near a small Texas town. No injuries were reported and no evacuations have been ordered following the afternoon derailment, according to a Union Pacific spokesperson. The derailment occurred around 2 p.m. just east of the town of Gordon, which is located about 65 miles southwest of Fort Worth. None of the railroad cars were leaking their contents, according to a post on social media by the Palo Pinto County Emergency Services District 1. It also said all personnel have been accounted for and no injuries have been reported. ABC News, which first reported the incident, said the train was possibly carrying hazardous materials. Emergency services said that crews on scene quickly mitigated the damage and hazards. They also said that the incident is being treated as a hazmat situation. Nobody was injured in the accident, and the Palo Pinto Fire Department is working to contain a fire. The railroad said additional crews were in transit and an incident investigation was underway. The Palo Pinto Emergency Management Team did not immediately respond to requests for comment. At least 8 people were killed after flooding on Cape Verde's São Vicente Island overwhelmed emergency services and cut key roads. On Monday morning, torrential rains lashed the northern island in the Atlantic archipelago located off West Africa, swamping roads and sweeping away vehicles and people. Municipal Councillor Jose Carlos Daluz told a state broadcaster 7 people had died in floods and 1 person was electrocuted, adding that 3 others were still missing. In a report, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies put a death toll at 9 and said 1,500 people had been displaced in São Vicente. According to Cape Verde's Meteorology Institute, São Vicente usually records 116 millimeters of rain in a year. But early on Monday, the institute recorded 193 millimeters of rain in just 5 hours. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said on Monday that Tropical Storm Erin was located about 455 kilometers west-northwest of Cape Verde and packing maximum sustained winds of 75 kilometers per hour. Thousands of people sheltered and fishermen secured their boats across storm-battered southern Taiwan on Wednesday as Typhoon Podul intensified on its approach to the island. The typhoon is packing wind speeds of 155 kilometers per hour at its center and is strengthening, according to Central Weather Administration (CWA) forecaster Lin Ting-yi. Podul is on track to hit lightly populated Taitung County before sweeping across the island and into the Taiwan Strait. More than 5,500 people have been evacuated from their homes ahead of Podul. Disaster officials said Wednesday as the typhoon threatens to pound central and southern regions that are still recovering from storms last month. The CWA said mountainous areas of Kaohsiung City and neighboring Pingtung County, as well as Hualien and Taitung counties, could see torrential rain. All domestic flights across the island of 23 million people have been cancelled, along with dozens of international journeys. Many ferry services have been suspended and businesses and schools across the south closed. Typhoon Danas, which hit Taiwan in early July, killed 2 people and injured hundreds, as the storm dumped more than 500 millimeters of rain across the south over a weekend.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
And in sports, Alcaraz eases to 50th win of the season. Stay with us. Carlos Alcaraz eased past Serbia's Hamad Medjedovic 6-4, 6-4 to reach the Cincinnati Open last 16 on Tuesday, battling the sweltering Ohio heat to notch his tour-leading 50th victory of the season. The Spaniard's record speed also secured his 13th consecutive win at an ATP Masters 1000 tournament, converting 3 of 7 break points in a deliberate, slow-paced contest. Treated for neck pain after the first set, Medjedovic ramped up in the second to shorten rallies, out-hitting Alcaraz 25-16 on winners, but committing 38 unforced errors to the Spaniard's 18. Alcaraz has been on a tear in 2025 as he chases Jannik Sinner in the ATP rankings and now owns 13 straight victories at the Masters 1000 level. 5-time Grand Slam winner Alcaraz, who is preparing for the approaching US Open start, said he was really happy to get the win in a very difficult match. Monte Carlo and Rome champion Alcaraz next faces Italian Luca Nardi as he continues his bid for an 8th Masters 1000 title. Earlier, Andrei Rublev rallied from a set down to edge Alexei Popyrin 6-7, 7-6, 7-5 in a fierce 3.5-hour battle. The Russian 9th seed will play against Argentine Francisco Comesana, who claimed a stunning win over American Riley Opelka.
7-5.
And in football, Poland manager Jan Urban said Robert Lewandowski wants to play for his country again, having quit after falling out with the previous coach. Lewandowski was stripped of the captain's armband earlier this year by Michal Probierz, refusing to play for his country while the 52-year-old was in charge. Probierz then resigned in June amid the fallout over his decision to hand the captaincy to Piotr Zielinski and following Poland's defeat to Finland in World Cup qualifying. Urban was named as his replacement in July and was keen to get Lewandowski, who is Poland's all-time top scorer with 85 goals, back into the fold. Poland are currently third in their World Cup qualifying group, 1 point behind leaders Finland, and level with the Netherlands, who have a superior goal difference and have played a game less. Lewandowski is thought to be vital to their chances of qualifying for the 2026 tournament, and Urban has already started taking steps to get him back into the national team. Poland's next World Cup qualifier is against the Netherlands away on September 4, before they host Finland 3 days later. Lewandowski, 36, has scored 85 goals in 158 appearances for Poland. He netted 42 times in 52 appearances in all competitions for his former club Barcelona last season, and Hansi Flick's side won the Spanish League, Cup and Super Cup. Gianluigi Donnarumma has confirmed his imminent exit from Paris Saint-Germain after being excluded from the squad by manager Luis Enrique. The Italian goalkeeper was left out of PSG's Super Cup lineup, signalling the end of his time at the club. Donnarumma played a key role in PSG's historic treble-winning campaign last season, including their first Champions League triumph. Despite his contributions, the 26-year-old has been deemed surplus to requirements under Luis Enrique's new plans. PSG's recent signing of French keeper Lucas Chevalier further hinted at Donnarumma's uncertain future. Addressing the matter, Enrique emphasized that the decision was made with the team's improvement in mind. Donnarumma expressed his desire to bid a proper farewell to PSG supporters if given the chance. PSG captain Marquinhos acknowledged the difficulty of the situation, the Brazilian defender praising Donnarumma's contribution to the club's recent success. Donnarumma's next destination remains uncertain as negotiations for his departure continue. And on home soil, national sprinter Mohammad Azim Fahmi remains one of the best assets of the national athletics squad ahead of the 2025 SEA Games in Thailand. National head coach Manshaha Abdul Jalil said the Perak-born athlete was listed for 3 events, 100 meters, 200 meters and 4x100 meters, but a final decision on his participation would only be made after discussions between Mohammad Azim and his coach in the United States. Manchaha, when met on Tuesday, said that Muhammad Azim also has a joint commitment and a joint contract agreement with the National Collegiate Athletic Association (NCAA) or Auburn University.
Saya bersama dengan pihak Nasional itu berbincang dengan dia secara personal bahawa dia akan balik ke US dan masa dekat ni untuk berbincang dengan dua timnya. So, kita akan menghubungi semula apakah cara yang terbaik, proses yang terbaik untuk menentukan kalau Azim dapat balik ke Malaysia untuk kesukan sini. Ini dalam proses lah perbincangan lagi dan perlu ada kata sepakat lah antara jurulatih dan juga atlet.
Commenting on the possibility of an alternative plan if Muhammad Azim cannot participate in the Games, Manchaha said it is still open, especially with the Malaysian Open, which will be held from 29 to 31st August. However, among the names mentioned as a replacement is another national sprinter, Danish Iftikhar Muhammad Rosli. The Sepang International Circuit (SIC) is maintaining its target of attracting 200,000 spectators to watch the World Motorcycle Championship (MotoGP) over 3 days at the 2025 Malaysian Grand Prix (GP) to be held from 24th to 26th October. SIC Chief Executive Officer Azan Shafriman Hanif said the company was aware of the high target compared to the previous edition, but was still determined to realize it this year. Last year's Malaysian GP recorded a 3-day attendance of 184,923 spectators. 75% of the ticket capacity was sold, and SIC this year is also introducing some exciting features, including the first ever pre-race electronic dance music EDM festival. 2 EDM festivals is scheduled to take place prior to race weekend from 18 to 19 October. Also present at the 2025 Malaysian GP launch on Tuesday, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh said that RM1 from every ticket sold will also be channeled to the National Sports Trust Fund, which will support the development of Malaysian athletes. SIC also introducing a special buy one, one free promotion for Malaysia GP Rahmah tickets, priced at RM49.90 each. The promotion, which started at 12 noon yesterday, will end at 8 p.m. tonight.
Pentas badminton dunia kembali menyala. Badminton World Championships 2025 dibawakan dari Arena Porte de la Chapelle, Paris, Perancis. Medan pertarungan jago-jago terhandal dunia dengan pukulan-pukulan kencang menggegam gelanggang dalam 5 kategori utama bagi mencipta sejarah dan memburu tahta terulung dunia. Dibawakan sepanjang 25 hingga 31 Ogos di saluran OK, saluran sukan RTM dan penstreaman langsung di RTM Click. Bersama RTM, penyiar rasmi.
That's it from us this afternoon. Our top story: Putin, North Korea's Kim in phone call ahead of Alaska summit. Malaysia Tonight comes on at 8:30 p.m. this evening on TV1 and MyTV's Berita RTM news channel. Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thanks for watching and take care.